I better get off it on YouTube.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Holly Davis, and I have some wonderful author friends here to talk all about our secrets to writing strong female friendships and found family. Woohoo! So we're also going to be talking about our publishing journey, giving writing advice. So this will really be a really good comprehensive live stream, and it's really fun and interactive. So if you guys have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the comments and we will answer them. But everyone here is linked down below, so please give them a follow, check out their books. If you don't know me, my name is Holly. Like I said, I'm the author of A Diamond Bright and Broken, which is a week old. It released on November 5th of this year, which is so exciting. I know some people in the comments have read it already and given really good reviews, so thank you for that. But so this is a YA epic fantasy, which is the genre that I am currently writing in. I also have dabbled in some middle grade fantasy as well. So that's something that you will see from me in my future career. Genres that I like to read are really any genre. I'm kind of like a mood reader. So my main genre that I like to read is fantasy, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to like learn a whole new magic system and all these complicated like words, and just stick me in the real world. So I'll read rom-coms, or I'm just like, I'm in a mood, like give me some mystery thriller or something. So I kind of read a little bit of everything, read both spice and non-spice. Diamond is no spice fantasy. And then something fun about me. Oh, so we were talking about like what's our favorite pop. I say pop to drink because I'm from Chicago. And so I like Coke Zero. They have a caffeine-free one, so that's my drink of choice. If I had to choose between Coke or Diet Coke, I would actually drink Diet Coke because that's what my mom bought. So growing up, I only had Diet Coke, so I actually don't like the taste of regular Coke. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, yay. I'll jump in next. Yeah. But all right. I am Jennifer Aline. I actually used to have an AuthorTube channel a little while back, so I'm not sure if anybody remembers me on that, but maybe they do. So let's see. I am the author of, it's over here. I will get it. I didn't have it handy, but now I do. Of the X Project, which is a spicy women's fiction novel about two coworkers at a dating app, a coffee-focused dating app, who decide to revisit their exes for different reasons, one for love, one for revenge. And it came out on October 29th through Book and Brew Creative, which Rachel down here, I don't know which side she's on, but Rachel and I created our own small press this year, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, and published under that brand. So that came out this year, which was very exciting. Trying to think what kind of books I read. I always started with fantasy. I'm like, fantasy's my first love. I will say that. And then COVID happened. And like a lot of people, I kind of started leaning into romance because it's happy. And so I'm definitely very much into romance. I do like some dark romance. I like some romantasy, women's fiction, kind of like Holly said, kind of all over the board a little bit. And then I'm going to defend my stance on the soda discussion. First off, I call it soda. Please let me know in the comments if you do too. Pop is a noise. It's a sound.
No! When you open it, it goes a pop and the bubbles go pop.
I mean, that's fair too. I didn't really think of that, which is crazy.
Me neither until just now.
The soda makes like a pop sound. Oh, soda pop. I mean, that does make sense too. But my favorite is probably Sprite and orange soda. I don't really like Coke or Pepsi or root beer. I've always just been a Sprite or orange soda person. Or sparkling water. I have 3 of these cans here and they're not all full. So there's that. But all right, that's me.
Yay.
I can go ahead and go next. I'm Savannah J Goins, and I write portal fantasy, young adult portal fantasy, and adventure fantasy. And I read pretty much any fantasy. I really like animal characters. And for soda pop discussion, I have to go with Jennifer. It is soda, although I have been calling it pop for years because I live in the Midwest and I just started picking it up because that's what everybody does here. But I have to say, I grew up calling it soda from growing up in the South, and pop was what we called my grandpa. That was his name. So when I moved here, it's soda. It's not pop. That's a person. So, yep, I think that's everything for me. Did I miss anything, or was that everything?
About your book.
Yes.
Yes.
I forgot to talk about what the book was about.
Whisper of Weapons is my young adult fantasy that came out in July, and the sequel just came out in October, and that's House of Hybrids.
Yay.
And I'm last. I'm woefully unprepared. I don't have my book. I have a whole box of them somewhere, but my husband cleaned and I don't know where he put the box.
It's good. He cleaned. Like that's all I got. That's worth it.
So my book also came out on October 29th. It is my debut. It is a contemporary romance, small town. It is a Christmas book. It is called The Christmas Fake, and it's about a new girl in town, fish out of water, and she wants to make friends. So she starts fake dating the town extrovert, but she ends up falling for his very intriguing cousin instead. So I wanted to do a little twist on the fake dating. As far as what I read, like any subgenre of romance, and I read a lot, and I tend to read fast, but I will kind of get stuck on a subgenre. Like I might read 10 rock star romances in a row, and then I'll read 5 fantasy romances. So it just depends on my mood. I do occasionally read other things, but as a child, I was really into fantasy as well, but I disliked if the romance wasn't satisfying at the end, like the romantic subplot. And then when I realized, oh, romance exists as a genre and I don't have to skip to the end to make sure it ends happily before I pick it up. So that was pretty much it for me.
So true. There has to be the APA.
Yeah. And it is pop. I'm from Western New York. So Western New York and the Midwest are very aligned culturally. We have similar accents too. And it's pop here as well.
Yay.
Favorite is Dr. Pepper.
Which is crazy because Rachel and I were saying we are only an hour different between. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
But I grew up on east side of New York, I guess, but still it's New York. It should all be the same, but it's not. And I'm sticking with my soda discussion.
We're 2 for 2.
That's true. 2 for 2.
I wanted to shout out some people here. Bobby was here. My twin is here. Hello. Alicia from our mastermind group, Savannah and mine's mastermind group that we were just at before this. Janine. Oh, good. And there's a question, Janine. I'm going to save this question, okay, so we can get back to it when we, after we finish the ones that we have planned. But let's see. Whole Foods 365 soda.
Oh,
that's good.
I've never had that.
I gotta write this down.
Definitely pop.
Yes.
Plain water. Plain water is also, if I have pop, I make sure I have water as well. So
I'm really bad at drinking plain water. Really bad.
I got this trick, found out this trick in June where you put a little bit of orange juice and then you fill up the rest with water, and they call it H2 orange. And it helps if you don't drink a lot of water, you have a little bit of flavor. And so I've been having that at least for one of my, So anyways, random.
Maybe that'll help. Water makes me cry. It's not
Yay, Christmas lover.
sometimes I drink it like a child that's just come home from after playing in the park for hours. Happy breathing. I love it.
I like the imagery. Yay, that's awesome. All right. So, like Holly was saying, I think we're just going to it's going to be very chill, casual conversation about kind of our backstories of how, our writing adventures, publishing, because it's all, all over the place for all of us in a way. And then we obviously want to kind of come together because all of our books have that connecting factor of female friendship, which is like a big part of it, and how, finding a community is important. That's something we want to chat about. We'll answer a few of your questions at the end. So maybe, Holly, do you want to start telling us a little bit about your publishing journey and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah. So it's cool to be, to finally be a debut author and to officially say that I'm a published author, because I started writing back in November 2015. So it's officially been 9 years since I started writing. And then 2016, I was like, what's editing? What's querying? Because I finished my draft and I'm like, well, what do I do now? So it took many years of writing different manuscripts. I tried querying 2 other manuscripts before A Diamond Bright and Broken that didn't get picked up by any agents or anything. And I started writing Diamond in November 2020. Took 2 years of editing it. Went through all the ups and downs of just writing ruts and all of that. Started querying. And, I first started querying a whole bunch of agents. The last manuscript I had queried, I also queried some small presses where you don't need to have an agent. So after getting a rejection on my full for a Diamond, I was from an agent, I was okay, let me open up to some small presses. And that's where I got my book deal, was from Inimitable Books in 2023. And then now my book is published and out. And so hopefully I can keep writing and publishing more books. But yeah, so it's been almost a decade of me trying to get published, but I knew I needed to keep writing because that's the only way my book was going to be on the shelf if I didn't stop.
Well, I'll go next, but yeah. I feel like I have a somewhat similar but somewhat different story for that. And someone just wrote Celestial Code, and I remember when you used to talk about that one.
That one will be in your hands someday. That one I'm not letting go of. Yeah.
So similar to Holly, I started off seeking out traditional publishing, and I did that honestly. The first full manuscript I ever finished I was I think 18. And back then I started kind of looking more into how do I do this? What's the process? And that was back in the day when it was snail mailing all the literary agents.
Oh, wow.
And I actually have a bunch of those physical mail pieces and letters that I sent. But I went through, I forget what it was called. There was this big book that you would go through, and every year they'd have a bunch of agents, and as if they were still there, which is crazy. And you'd write them down, which isn't that crazy that they print a book out. What if somebody left? They'd still be in there. Yay for the internet. So I would send out a whole bunch of query letters to the agents. It would take forever to hear back. And, I started with that process back when I was 18, and I continued to query, honestly, since then with the other manuscripts. Hi, kitty.
Yes, making his cameo. Yep.
Oh, I like that. That was clever.
Mm-hmm. Or a cat meow. I have either one.
I like both versions. So I started the querying process, and I would get really excited because my books, especially the last few books, would get pretty far in the process. I'd talk to agents, and they wouldn't know what shelf to put me on. They wouldn't know to put me in women's fiction or romance, just because I do merge both. I don't follow the typical romance story structure. I kind of make my point of views from friends or family members or coworkers, like in the X Project. And I would talk to agents, and they say, well, you just don't know where to put you unless you want to switch it around so it fits a certain, genre. And I liked how I was writing my story. So a year ago, Rachel and I don't know, we won't go too fully into our story, I guess, or maybe we will. I don't know. We decided to start our own small press where we would publish our books out of. We created a brand for it. So we've learned a lot in this last year about how to go about doing this in, you know, a professional, strategic way, in a business way. You know, figuring out how to format a book, which we didn't cry. I thought I might, but we didn't.
No
cry.
crying involved.
I'm so surprised.
That's a feat. Wow, I'm impressed.
We took like a weekend writers retreat with our friend who did a lot of our brand illustrations. And we were like, all right, we got to give ourselves time. We will cry. It's going to be something. Like I just make a friend say we need cry breaks because it was just so like scary at first. But it really wasn't that bad. But yeah, so that's kind of a little backstory for that. So
Nice.
So I'll go next since that's kind of the order we have so far. And my writing also started in 2015. I mean, I wrote some as a teenager, but just like as a fun thing, not anything that I was like trying to get published or anything. And then in 2015, I was finishing college and about to get married and very overwhelmed by both of those, like needing to plan a wedding. I'm terrible at planning events. And like, I was just very overwhelmed by all of it. And I stumbled across a blog about how Hagrid and Haymitch were similar characters. And I was just like, no, they're not. Haymitch is rude and scary, and Hagrid is adorable and lovable, but it was because they're both mentor characters. And so I ended up reading everything that blogger had written. And it was Christine from Better Novel Project, who I don't think that website is up anymore, but that is how I got started on it, because it was just an escape from everything that was overwhelming, like all the studying and the planning. And because I shouldn't be doing it, it was extra fun. And so I just kept on. That was how I got started writing more seriously. And I published a trilogy, a young adult portal fantasy trilogy, one book came out every 2 years after that. And then this year I had my 2 other more recent books come out. And I did query a little bit. At one point after I had published my trilogy, I tried querying a little bit, but I was just, somebody that I followed at the time had said that what was it? She was saying how people were talking about how they had queried hundreds of people. And she was like, well, I don't even know of 100 people altogether that I would actually trust with 15% of my royalties for the rest of forever. And I was like, oh no. So then it just made me like more stressed about trying to like decide who to query to. And so I sent like 2 query letters and didn't hear anything about it. And then I did, that was for a different project. And then I did query this one that just recently came out. And I did get a full manuscript request twice, but I didn't get farther after that. And so I self-published it. Also probably for some point of view choices I made. And I will probably always self-publish things, but I still would like to try to get traditionally published at some point as well and be hybrid.
yeah.
Cool.
Get Rachel doing the shoulder dance that I do.
I also do that when I'm eating really good food. For me, well, I've always enjoyed writing. I would write like in notebooks all the time. Like my friend and I would, summer camp was at a beach, but we would be like writing in a notebook in the pavilion. It's like, you're at a beach. You should probably do something outdoorsy, but no, thank you. And then I want to say I got more seriously into it around COVID because I do work in healthcare, and that was not fun during the pandemic at all. So it just sort of became an escape, and in a way like a fantasy, like, oh, I could quit this stressful, sad job and just do this in my home, bundled up in a blanket all day. But
Sounds wonderful.
Yes, right? I do still have a different job that I also enjoy. So, but yeah, I think Jenny came up with the idea for Book and Brew Creative, and I was kind of like, you know what? Let's do it. I had looked into the querying process a little bit, but it always scared me somewhat. It was intimidating sounding. And then Jenny had this idea, and I said, oh, we're going to do it. Let's do it.
I always like to mention, just because I feel like it's funny, even though it's a little weird too, that this idea came from when I had just gotten out of a surgery, like literally hours after a lung surgery. And I was like all medicated up. And that whole year I like hadn't written very much at all. I was just in a slump all year. And I'm on like all these meds, and I'm texting some of my writer friends. I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just make our own business and publish our books out of it? That sounds crazy, but we should do it. And then Rachel's like, you know what? Maybe we should
do it.
I'm like reading this message the next day, like, it's not a bad idea. But
I love that.
lung surgery.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
Somehow it worked out. It happened. All right. So maybe we can talk a little bit about more of the writing process, maybe our favorite parts of it, our least favorite parts of it, what we learned during our publishing journeys, anything that for those who are either jumping into the small press world or the self-publishing world, what they should know. I just named off like 76 different things. So.
Yeah, we can kind of cover a little bit of everything because our journeys have been kind of different.
That's true. Yeah. So, I mean, we could just kind of talk about our favorite things, our least favorite things. Anything you want to share, maybe? Yeah,
I definitely have learned that like every manuscript I write is different. Like my writing process like changes. Between first book, now I'm writing a sequel for the first time, and I'm like, whoa, this is a whole different beast. Because just the time in your life might be different. The things that you're going through might be different. So you have to be open to change and be open to finding like what works for you. And, that might be different from everyone else's advice that they've told you and all the other ways that you wrote. So that's kind of like a big thing that I have taken from, my journey. Things that I love are the outlining and drafting and line editing phases. The part I don't like so much is the developmental editing, because for me, I feel like I worked like it's hard to like start at a big blank page and then finish that draft and write the end, and then to be like, wait, there's still more work to do. Like, oh my gosh. And I think for me, I feel a little bit more overwhelm doing developmental editing because it's not as quantitative for me. I can't, if it's like an arc and there's like, I have to fix things across multiple chapters, I can't be like, yep, check that off. It's like, well, I checked that off for this chapter. Cool. And I'm very much like a check off, scratch off, like checklist person. So I think that's why it's a little bit harder for me. But I definitely love everything else about it. And then from, having my book out, I realized that other people might say this too, but looking at you, Savannah, but I also have a love-hate relationship with marketing my book, because I feel like
I love it.
I'm at least like for the whole year that I had my book up for pre-order, I feel like I'm like screaming into a void and I don't know if it's landing on anyone's ears. And I'm not like very good with like my creativity and stuff. So I feel like I'm like, this reel's good enough. Whereas like probably could have been done a lot better. This transition is a little smoother and maybe I could have researched the better like hashtags, but I'm just like, these are good because I just like, that's just how I work. And, but anyway, so that has been something that I've also been learning a lot about, we'll say.
When it comes to marketing, if anybody here has secrets to getting on the algorithm, please share them because that would be great. Like,
don't ask that question. We don't have that answer here.
I know. Please give us the secrets. I mean, I do work in some marketing, and we have learned some secrets of getting on there and getting seen a little bit more. But man,
well, Diamond did get a second print run before the book even came out, so I'm doing something right. So that was at least relieving, but it still is hard to know because things are always changing on social media. So
no, that's true. One thing I'm going to jump off of, I don't remember what you said that made me think of this. Maybe it was like when you're talking about the editing and like the process of writing, is one really hard thing for me with this most recent book, the second book coming, the book that's coming out in the spring, summer, was I wrote the first draft in a different way than I usually do. So I am somebody who doesn't, I guess a lot, tell me if you guys do this. I usually will write a few chapters, stop, read those chapters, keep writing, stop, read like the chapter before. So I'm always going back, and by like page 50, I'm starting over again, reading. So I edit as I go real hard. Like that's always been my process. And for the book, the draft I just finished, that's coming out next year, I did not do that. I just wrote it like most people I think do.
Yeah.
And I hated it. Poor Rachel over here. Like we'll video chat and write at the same time. And I'm just over here freaking out because there's so much I need to change. She's like, just keep writing. It's okay. Like go back and change. I'm like, no, I need to do it now. So I learned that I do like doing some kind of, I just got bright. I do like some kind of editing as I go. I need to meet in the middle somewhere when I'm writing, because I probably shouldn't keep going back like 50 pages because it will take years. But that's something that was just a learning experience when it comes to the writing process. Trying to think of elements. I'm also I love outlining. I love like the idea of starting like this whole new idea, this whole new story, and these new characters. And I'm starting to think about the third book and brew book that I'll be writing, and I'm getting all excited. I have no plot, but I have all these like side ideas and themes, and it's just so fun coming up with that part of it. Like in the X project, there's a dating app, and it's a coffee focused dating app called My Cup of Joe. And it was just really fun to make the elements of that and like dive into that world a little bit. I like to kind of think about those things. So I think that's probably one of my favorite parts, is the creativity and the excitement. I don't like editing. I hate it. And that's what I'm doing right now for my second book, which is going to be really fun. I don't even remember all the other things I said. Advice. It's hard to give advice just because we're still learning so much when it comes to this process. I would say, especially if you're looking into the indie world, and I'm sure Savannah can help with this too, because you more experience than we do, is, reach out to other people and ask them questions. And, just keep asking. I feel like we talked to like other authors, we talked to editors, we watched YouTube videos. We so do the research. That's one thing that we definitely did instead of just jumping right into it. And make a strategy. I think that's something that helped Rachel and I, as we like went about it in a strategic way. So that was helpful too. But yeah, I think that's all. Probably not.
So I'm with both of you guys. I love outlining and drafting, and I don't love editing as much. And it just stinks that editing takes like 75 times as long as drafting.
Yep.
I love, though, like accepting copy edits. It's just like, yep. I just press the accept the change button over and over again, and that's great. But all the editing in between takes forever and is exhausting and less fun. But drafting is awesome. And also, like, any positive feedback, the editors I work with are just really lovely and leave lots of lovely comments and lots of, some editors only point out what needs to change, which is fine because that's the point of them. But then you're like, well, is it worth changing? Because now I just see everything wrong with it, and it just seems like I should just start from scratch on something else. But my editors leave lots of really nice comments, so it's like, okay, it is worth putting all the work and making it better because there are these other good things too. And it's really, really encouraging to read those comments. Also, reading good reviews. I love reading those. That's lovely. But yeah, marketing is the worst. I wish that I just had loads of disposable income so I could pay somebody to do it for me.
Yes.
But I don't.
I
can't. So, yeah, I'm trying some different things, and it's just very slow going. And then for advice, just researching a lot. But for me, I like to research a lot for sure, but I'm not good at doing like a pretend, like a dry run pretend kind of thing of how I might do it. I kind of just have to do it and just learn from it, which is a little bit more expensive and not ideal.
Yeah.
But I definitely have learned a ton from everything that I've done so far. And you kind of just have to do as much research as you can and then just jump into it and figure it out as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to be the opposite of you all. I don't like outlining. I don't mind drafting. I like drafting, but I enjoy editing. I think that's fun because to me, like the blank page is just too intimidating. But I know I feel more confident that I can fix something that's already there. So still getting better at it. My second book goes to the developmental editor on Friday. So I'm scared, but excited. So that's fun. I also don't love marketing, but my advice, find somebody like Jenny who does like marketing.
That extra
I need a Jenny.
I'll help you. Come slide to my DMs. I love that stuff. It's fun.
Jenny and I also found too that I think like in the spots where I am not confident, she was more confident and vice versa. Like,
oh my gosh, thank God.
I would watch a YouTube video about like specifically like how to upload your manuscript to KDP and why you should pick these keywords and why these ones work and these ones are not great keywords. And I found that interesting. I don't think Jenny maybe felt the same way.
I would just look at these pages. I would look at the website, and it's funny because we work with words. I saw all these words, and I work like, Rachel, just what button do I need to push? Just tell me, like, do I push this button? I'd send her like a picture. She's like, Jenny, that's the button. You just gotta push that.
Although you could also be like me in the file that you send to all like 150 of your ARC readers is the incorrect file and has one chapter where a character goes into her apartment, locks the door, and then in the next chapter she is locked out of that apartment. So sometimes it's learning by just screwing up.
That's great.
People are excited about those special editions though. Like they wanted that one.
They were super special editions.
I love that.
All right, well, I feel like we should talk about friendship and why that was an important part in our books, why it's important to have like, a community of writers and a community of like just bookish people who understand you. And I think even somebody asked a question about, finding, a writer kind of like family of some sorts. So maybe we can talk about how female friendship is part of our stories, because it's unique in that, we all have that in common, even though we write, Rachel and I write spicy adult romancy things. You guys write young adult fantasy. So it's nice that, it is the friendship connection that kind of brings those stories together. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So in A Diamond Bright and Broken, and what I like to read in different books are different kinds of friendships. So in Diamond, there's friendships that take a little bit of time to build. Some that happen right away. Some that are like more of like family, like there's a strong sister bond, and I see that as a friendship as well. And so I like having those different kinds of friendships because that's how it is in real life. So I kind of like to mimic that. They're the two main characters, Raven and Cadence in Diamond. I nickname it Diamond. So if I say Diamond, I'm talking about my book. I don't know if you say Christmas.
I love the nicknames.
Yeah. But they start off just as strangers who have their different goals that are bringing them together for this task. Cadence is trying to figure out why she can cry diamonds. What is with this power that her parents told her she was born with? And Raven says that she can take her where she can find the answers. And so throughout Diamond, it's their journey of learning more about each other as they kind of discover themselves too. So I feel like that's a really important part of friendship, is where it builds each other up and they both learn from each other and learn more about themselves through that. And then maybe more than friendship happens too. I don't know. You'll just have to read the book. But yeah, I feel like that is a big part of the story is that friendship and the sister relationship, the sister friendship, and then all of the people that Cadence meets along her journey that, I mean, they are kind of more like acquaintances to her, but the way that they help her, they are like becoming like quick friends to her. Yeah. So anyways, I think I answered the question. I don't want to keep blabbing. So anyways.
No, I love it. I also love the names. I think names are always just so much fun to make anyway.
Oh, I love names. Oh, I've got a name document. Yeah.
I'm sure. It's like how when you grow up, you're like if you want to have kids in the future, you have like a list of like kids' names, which I'm so glad I never actually used that for my girls. Like that was real weird.
Do you want to answer this one too, or should I?
Yeah, let's answer it. Let's see.
Okay. I'll give a quick one so we'll add this one too for you, Janine, and anyone else who has that. If you're struggling on making writing friends or getting feedback, I think it's finding, it's still just, you have to find where your community is. So, some of my friends that, like the book that I'm beta reading right now is the very first critique partner that I found on the NaNoWriMo forums in 2016. And we are still swapping manuscripts to this day. Savannah, I found on Instagram, and I visited her, stayed over at her house, meeting her child and going to her, events and everything. And Jenny and now Rachel, online friends. So I think it's like knowing that you can find them in different places, and it might be unexpected. Sometimes you kind of need it to be natural. So, I think Savannah and I liked each other's posts and commented on each other's posts, and it's like, oh wait, hey, you're kind of cool. Like, I want to read an arc of your book. Or with Jenny, like finding each other on AuthorTube. Oh, you're an AuthorTuber too. And then putting yourself out there as well. So I think it was Savannah and Jenny were talking, and we're like, hey, like we have some similarities in our book. Let's do a live stream. And so it's kind of putting yourself out there, and then also finding those different places where maybe you might meet someone that you're not expecting to make friends there.
And I think too, and this kind of is Rachel's down here for me. But for Rachel and I specifically, we met when we worked at the same place about almost 10 years ago, maybe 9, I don't know, probably 10. And we worked at the same place around there. And, we started talking, and we found out, we both were writers, and we like to write, we like to read. And so we decided to start waking up, which I don't know how I used to do that because I hate waking up early. We would wake up really early before work and go to a coffee shop down the street, and we would write and then go to work. And that's kind of how that started. So you never know who's at your work. You don't know, even just going to a coffee shop. And I mean, I'm a coffee snob, obviously. and there's probably someone who's always there writing something. But your community probably has like a group that you just kind of have to seek out in a way. And I think it's also that putting yourself out there aspect that is hard for a lot of people. For me, I'm that person where I'm just like, hi, let's talk. But that's not easy for everybody. Like Rachel, I'm the extrovert to Rachel's introvert. So we kind of just like bounce off each other in that good way. So I think putting yourself out there, seeking out any community groups. I mean, I'm not a big Facebook person, but Facebook sometimes has some pretty good groups that are like local that you can always look into. Your library might know of some groups too. Yeah, I think putting yourself out there, even though it's scary.
Yeah, and one thing I think too that people forget, like, of course we're all writing and we want people to read our books, but sometimes you meet people just by talking about books you like to read, and then you realize you read the same things, and then the conversation just goes from there. Like, I'm, as Jenny said, the introvert, but if you start talking to me about books, it will be hard to get me to stop talking. So
She will sell you on every book. It's such a talent. If you need a book, message Rachel. She will give you a list and you will want to read all of them. It's a talent. You need to do that.
I love that.
All right. I think, was I the next one up talking about things? Okay. So in the X Project, like I said, how, you know, I say I write romance, but I really don't. It's spicy women's fiction because I don't write in the romance structure. There is a happily ever after. It's everybody's happy at the end. I mean, maybe not the side characters. Some side characters might be pissed, but all the main characters are happy. But what I like to do is have my main characters' points of views be either like friends or family members. And in the X Project, it's two coworkers, best friends at that dating app I was talking about, and it was just interesting to see their friendship grow because they really are very different characters. And I think that was really fun to write those different characters, because that's part of the excitement, is being able to make the characters quirky and their own people. And it's also good to make them different because it's relatable. You want to be able to connect with, whoever's reading it in some way. And if that's a personality trait, or if that's a connection they have with somebody else that's helping the reader relate and want to keep on reading and vibe with a character. And one thing that's been really nice over the past few weeks since the book came out is people sending pictures of like a paragraph or so, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so me, or like, oh my gosh, I'm Emmy, or oh my gosh, Fern is blah. So it's nice when you're writing something that the readers will relate to in some way. And I think that that's important. And what was really important, because the X Project really, in the end, is about the friendship. I mean, of course, the romance is in there. There's a lot of that in there. But it's really showing how these two friends, they're going on this little journey together. There's some hiccups in there, but in the end, I mean, I'm not giving anything away, but in the end, they're still like, they realize they learn from things and they're still really close. So I think it's also important to, when it comes to side characters, I love quirky side characters. I think they're very fun.
Yes.
They're my favorite, and they might pop up in future books. So you always want to be on the lookout. Or in Rachel's books too, because we have some crossover elements that
I love that.
Yep. There's one X that is in my book that popped up in Rachel's. Is it the one you're at the second book? Is that
it is, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me borrow him.
We'll put him in all the books. He's super awkward. I love it. But I think having, those friendships on the side it's just as important, because some people don't have that best friend. They might have a lot of acquaintances that they're very close to, and that's just as important as having a best friend. And I've always been that person to have like a bunch of, I feel like, acquaintances that I'm really, really close to. So just relatability, I think, is a big part of friendship in my books and in fiction. So
nice.
So in Whisper of Weapons, the main character is sort of like an upper class character, and everybody her whole life has been telling her about, the kind of friends she should try to, the kind of people she should try to befriend for moving up the social ladder, and not for like good reasons to have friends. And so that starts out being her motivation. And when all of that goes wrong, she winds up in another situation and actually meeting some good people and discovering like what real friendship is and what a real healthy romantic relationship is. And so that's kind of some of the friendship elements. But then my favorite friendship, and what a lot of reviewers have said is their favorite friendship, is between one of the point of view characters and his castling, which is a serval, which is a kind of cat. And so he's a really awkward, bookish guy who works at the library and doesn't really want to be involved with his cohort of people who are supposed to be training for, fighting in a war and things. He'd like to just stay home and read a book. And his castling is an extrovert, the extrovert friend that every introvert needs, who can tell when he really does just need some time by himself to like renew his energy, but also when she should just like make him go to the ball and make him dance with people. And I love their dynamic because she's just the extrovert friend that every introvert needs. And as an introvert, I appreciate that so much.
I love that. Yeah. And having read Whisper of Weapons and House of Hybrids, like those dynamic, like both the human friendships and the human castling friendships are like, that makes it. It's so good.
Thank you.
Rachel.
So I'm last. But
not least.
So I think, one, I've always enjoyed reading about friendship because, like I said, I'm all about the happy ending. And I find the idea of being happy in life without friends to be kind of opposing. I don't think, you can have a romantic relationship, but I kind of think you need friendships and other relationships to sustain you in different ways in order to be really happy in your life. We all need that social connection. And fittingly, I think Christmas can be stressful for a lot of people if they don't have those social connections. Mm-hmm. And similarly, small towns can be insular, and making friends as an adult is really, really hard. Like if you're not working in person anymore, a lot of people work from home and they don't see people in real life. And if you're not going to school and classes, how are you meeting people? So the main character of the Christmas fake, Emma, since she's new in town, her whole fake dating scheme is because she wants to make friends as an adult in a new town. So that lands her in this mess. And along the way, she befriends two other women who work with her, Emma and Jill and Christy. I'm editing Jill's book right now, and the names are all like blending together. Who are sort of quirky side characters. Jill has an interesting job that you will learn more about in the book that will be coming out in the spring. And Christy may or may not be like a little bit psychic. So to be determined. She never claims to be psychic, but other characters say that she is. So
ooh, interesting.
That's been kind of fun.
I love that. I love that we all have like those, the aspects of our friendships are different.
Mm-hmm. And I think and like we were saying before, I think it's important, especially now, because the world is a crazy place. It always has been, but having those connections where you can escape and talk to people on a creative level, having that community there is nice. And I think once you find it and you reach out and you make those steps, it's nice because you can have those group messages where you just like throw in a meme and, everybody that's sometimes you just need that pick me up to like push you to do something or, get the creative energy going, and having that, whether it's in a book that you read and then maybe that's the push you need, that's, it's all kind of intertwined in some way. Yeah. My dog is making so much noise.
No, you're fine. I know we had some questions, so I wanted to make sure we got through those. They were not missed. Janine asked, do you have any handlers to read your reviews? Which is a really good question.
I can go because I didn't, and I should have. And like, I sort of was like stuck in a negative spiral the first few, because I'm like, some people on Goodreads think that they're like the Gordon Ramsay of book reviews, I swear. But I was like, no, this isn't for me. It is for readers, so I need to just stop reading them. And then Jenny and I kind of decided like, I'll read hers, she'll read mine, and that's been going better. And yeah. I eventually just blocked the website because it was becoming like a compulsion.
People are mean. for no reason. Like if someone wants to have a messy bun and like a scene, have that messy bun.
Yeah.
Sorry, that should ruin the entire book for you.
Oh my gosh.
Just putting that out there.
Seriously? Is this based on? Oh my goodness.
I can't.
They were troll. That was definitely a troll.
But I mean, I don't personally review books. If I dislike them, I just kind of move on, and that's that. But I mean, you know what? Maybe someone else is reading it and they're like, "Oh, I love messy buns," and then they'll pick it up. So who knows?
Exactly.
The book that's coming out next spring, summer, literally, she has a messy bun the entire time. So I hope that person reads my book.
As someone with really straight hair, I admire messy buns because I can't pull them off at all. Like a messy bun with curly hair looks great, but a messy bun with straight hair, like the little bits that stick out just stick straight out and look really silly. So I love messy buns and wish that I could pull them off.
Yeah, it's funny that Janine asked that because up until my book was up for pre-order for a year, and so I was looking at ARC reviews because I assumed if someone wants to read my book early, surely they will love it, and so I had no problems checking it. And then after it came out, I went on it and I was like, wait, Holly, you're not supposed to. So then I asked Heather, my twin, I don't know if she's still here. I was like, and I know my publisher said that they would look too, but I was like, will you be my review looker? And I was like, can you screenshot if there are any there that are 4 or 5 stars? Can you screenshot and send them to me? And so she sent me a couple that I hadn't seen yet. But anyway, so my twin is my handler.
Oh, I love that. Oh, she's there too.
Oh, you are here! Yay!
Yeah. I love it. Yay,
and then
twins.
Savannah, do you have a? Oh, sorry, Jenny. Were you gonna?
Oh no, I just said yay twins.
Oh yay! Oh yeah.
So I don't. I might change my mind about it in the future and have one, but partially I'm too curious. I have to look. For better or for worse, maybe it's not the best. But also, as much as you need you obviously there are much better people to get feedback from than reviewers as far as what you're going to write next and everything. But I feel like if I can look at my reviews and I can see a pattern of what everybody doesn't like, that's either going to help me write differently in the future or market differently. Because it could be that I wrote something that people in a different subgenre would really love, and I called it the wrong subgenre, and now all these people don't like it. But you also just have to take it all with a grain of salt, because I also had somebody write a really negative review of my first book series because the dragons talked. And the dragons all talk in fantasy. So this is nothing against me or my writing. It doesn't mean that my writing is terrible. This person just should not have read my book, and it was just the wrong book for her. So I don't know. I definitely have gotten feedback that has just put me way down and ruined my creativity for a while. And if reading your reviews does that, then it probably is a really great idea to have somebody to look at them for you. I might end up needing that in the future because I've not handled some feedback very well, but it's come from other places. So I think you just have to think about what's going to be best for you and then try one. And if it doesn't work, try the other one. And you can always go back if you need to. Yeah.
Very good advice. Our next question's from Len.
Hi,
question
Len.
For this awesome group. Oh, thank you, Len. So sweet. Also amazing
what
writer.
What do kids do now? They do this.
Oh yeah, I don't even wait. What do they do?
I don't even know how
they do. I don't even.
Yeah,
my girls try to do it, and I'm like, no, you look like
I can't do that. Just do this.
So millennials. When?
Yeah. Len asks, if you could go back, what one thing would you change in your publishing process? Ooh,
that's a really
good question.
To end these questions with. I don't know.
I'm working. I went and I'm working with a developmental editor this time that I did not do before. I just did those independently. So that's one thing that I felt like I could get stronger with. So I think I am doing it next time. But that's one thing for me specifically. I was like, I want to focus on making the book better. And and maybe a little bit less stress about the marketing, because if the book isn't strong, then what am I marketing it for a little bit? So trying to kind of improve that a bit.
Yeah, I like that. What
I
were
was
you going to
gonna-
say, Savannah? I was going to say to Savannah.
Yeah, Savannah, you want to go?
I was going to say I would study genre expectations more, because that will make your marketing a lot easier, and it will also make your if you're wanting to sell a lot of books, like if you just want to write whatever you want to write and it doesn't matter how many people read it, then definitely don't worry about that. But if you are wanting to make a career out of it, then genre expectations matter, because if you market it as one thing and people buy it and it's too different, or it's different in the wrong ways, then they're not going to finish reading it, or they're not going to buy the next one. And it doesn't matter how awesome it is and how creatively different it is. If they were expecting one thing and you didn't give them that, then it's going to really make it hard to sell a lot of books. And that I have learned very, very much the hard way. And I would definitely study that way more, with, especially with my first series, but also with my current series too.
No,
You might have heard me call it adventure fantasy, because all the other things that I thought it was were not right. And that's not really like a genre I see talked about very much, but the closest thing that it fits into. So I could have done a lot better with that if I had studied genre expectations more.
Yeah, I connect with that just because, you know, I'm not romance. That's why I'm very like, I put that out there, even though at an event we had a couple weeks ago, they're like, we think it's romance. It's romance. I'm like, I'm not going to say that, because I don't want the romance genre to attack me, because they So I agree that, you know, I've been very much, you know, spicy women's fiction, trying to make that just kind of my focus. But if you like romance, you'll probably like it.
Sounds like it. And I think for me is what I would change, or at least what I know I will do going forward, is making sure that like my final like read through is like very meticulous, because I was like, oh yeah, like I've read this a billion times and it's gone through all these edits, like it's fine. And then like I got my like the first arc and I was like, where are all these mistakes? Like these weren't in it before, but because there's formatting changes, different last minute changes that weren't in those earlier drafts. So that's something that I will learn to do, is like be very meticulous with my edits that I get back, that I do, so I can make sure that like, you know, even the arcs that go out are, you know, the best product that I could make it.
No, I like that.
Good. Kimberly said good advice. Great perspective. Thank you all for being honest and open. Yay. And then Alicia had said, protect your peace. Amen.
Yes, it's supposed to be a fun, exciting adventure. And I know I'm still, you know, I think one thing I would maybe change in a way is, you know, maybe more arc reviewers. I know Rachel got a good amount, and I think I could have probably also maybe leaned into that, but maybe next time I'll lean more into more arc reviewers for the reviewing process. But yeah, I'm trying to really pinpoint something. Maybe learn more without being like, Rachel, tell me what to do, because like I should probably learn some of that back end stuff a little bit more.
I was learning it too. Don't take my advice as
I don't know. You seem like you know it, so I trust you.
I'm just really good at faking it.
Oh boy.
Sorry, Zuko's meowing left and right, so he's like, you're not on the couch yet.
Does anybody
Yeah,
have
any other
questions?
Yes.
Anything else you want to bring up? Thanks for everybody being here, hanging out. Oh.
Ooh. Definitely see reading people, like readers' reactions, being like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting, or like this, I love this character, I love these dynamics, and like, because that's the whole point of us writing, is so that other people can enjoy our writing, and so that's like the most satisfying thing.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Just like I was saying earlier, is people screenshotting like different, you know, taking a picture of this chapter, being like, oh my gosh, this character is me, or even about the dating app being like, you know, you need to copyright that. I'm like, oh, it's a good idea. Thanks. I'm like, yeah, thanks. So maybe I should copyright it. I think that it's also, I was walking to vote last week. And as I was walking back from the school, this mom was pushing a stroller. She goes, "Oh, you're the author." And I was like, "What?" I found out she was an ARC reader. So like, that's why she knew me. But at first I was like, "Oh, wow, that was fast." But I realized she was an ARC reader. So it's it is exciting to see like people get excited. I feel like that, like you said, it's the best part for me.
Yeah, I had an ARC reader like send me like some Instagram DMs with like theories about what side characters were doing. And I was like, this is cool. I like this.
How fun.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Anybody sending me anything nice about my books is just the best. It's just the best. I had a GIF war with one of my ARC readers about theories, and that was so fun.
Ooh.
I had so much fun with that. It was just great. And yeah, just anything nice about it is great.
Yes, we need that. Yeah, more of that.
I have a smile file where I screenshot and put all of those things so that when I read reviews that are not great or I get other negative stuff that just totally steals my creativity and makes me sad, I go back to the smile file and I'm like, people have liked it.
Oh,
I love it.
I love that.
Copyright that.
It's just really good because if I get negative reviews in like a bad headspace already, then it's like my book is terrible and I am not a good writer. And like, it's hard to remember that there has ever been good feedback. And so it's good to have that place to be like, yes, there is actually good feedback.
Yeah.
Don't freak out. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yes. I didn't compile them all in the exact smile file yet, but I will.
I need a smile file. I love that so much.
And NetGalley is great for ARC reviews. Have you tried? Yeah.
I actually didn't use NetGalley. I know of NetGalley. I don't think we looked into that much, Rachel, did we? I don't think.
I did a little bit.
So you probably did. I did.
Yes. So probably just with doing it independently, it looks like likely the best way because it can get pricey is like to go through a co-op, a NetGalley co-op. So that's definitely something we could look into more next.
Now I remember you mentioning that. There was a lot of things you mentioned, probably. We all mentioned. But yeah, maybe that's something we can look into next time. Thank you.
Cool.
I know we had a hard stop at 9.
Yes, I have to run. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and hop out, but thank you guys for having me. I hope you have a great rest of the chat.
Thanks for joining, Sam. Bye. Oh my gosh, yeah, hold on.
It's so silly. It's like, why would you raptor your fingers to make a heart when you can do this?
No,
like,
this hurts.
It's
I
not.
can't even
It's all like wonky.
Pretty. No, it's not okay.
Oh, even after release. Oh, good to know, Janine.
That's a good point. I recall now someone saying like, oh yeah, you could still send ARCs to people after the book is out, even if you like just to get some more reviews. So yeah, that's a good point.
I sent a couple out to some local like we met there was a bookstagrammer. I met someone somewhere in Buffalo and I recently was like, oh, I'll send one out to you. So yeah, maybe that's something I can always look into also. I thought maybe it would be fun too if we wanted to, just because people are here and they're listening, we could always hint at our next books coming out and tell like, so you could end it talking about those maybe.
Yes. Oh, that'll be fun because I heard you hinting at it and I was going to say like, ooh, it's fun that you're seeing, other things.
I know we got another question too.
Oh, we do.
Oh, I like this question.
Yes. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone working on their first novel? I keep getting stuck at minor details and losing momentum. Very, very good question.
I found like a couple of, I guess, hacks for myself, if you want to call it that. But I found like setting a timer and just writing, like not reading what you write, disregarding typos, just writing for like 5 minutes. Cause I'm like, I could do anything except for maybe like working out for 5 minutes. And so that was like a good way to break that. I also like, for me personally, I got really bogged down with outlining. And like I said, to me, like the blank page is more intimidating than like the edits per se. So like in my first draft of the Christmas fake, if you were to read it now, the main character has a list for things she wants to do to try to make friends as an adult, and that appears in the first chapter. It did not appear until like, I don't know, maybe the last 5 chapters of the book. And I think when I think back, like when I first started writing, I probably would have been like, oh no, if I'm going to add that detail, like I have to go back and I have to change everything in the book to add that. And I'm like, no, you know what? Okay. It's going to appear in, you know, the last 5 chapters, and I can go back. So
I'm so grateful to have you.
For me, it was freeing to just know that like, no, like these random details can crop up now and I can go back and change them. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first try.
And I relate to that because this whole new process of me just writing without editing and going back and adding those details was extremely overwhelming. So I understand what Oh My Jordy is saying, because that definitely this time around when I wrote and didn't like stop, that really was hard for me because it took me a lot longer to get through this book because I was like, oh, this detail just happened. It's like a backstory. It's a big traumatic moment. And I want to go back and foreshadow that and go fix all those other things I need to do. But I need to also like finish the draft. So I would get stuck there and it would get in my head. I think for me, what was helpful, because I'm an outliner, so you're getting all the different ways. I have like a very specific outline. Some of it's per chapter. I'll just write like a few like things that happen in each chapter, and I'll put highlighting areas that like, oh, add this, or oh, like make sure, you know, you remember her eyes are blue, or like they go to this place, or like little details along the way that I kind of just keep on this sheet. And also, you know, that community, which I know isn't, you know, easy for everybody to jump right into. Like Rachel and I will video chat at night from like 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11 or whatever. And, you know, just having that person to bounce ideas off of, or like, be like, you know, just keep going. You're fine. It's good. Like 5 minutes. We got this. Like, it is nice to have that. And Holly has her like live streams on Mondays. I think it's Mondays, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, having
already came to that yesterday for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. Having that, like, I feel like that really helps push you, at least. So.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think too, for me, like some of the minor details, like if you get tripped up on that in the first draft, like that might not even make it into a later draft because you might realize, oh wait, I need to cut this whole character, or that actually is a plot hole. And then those minor details that you were like fixating on don't even matter. They're just it's a deleted scene, or you're scrapping. So you never really know what you're going to change, because like I would be like, oh, this, you know, character is totally fine. And then my critique partner's like, he was my least favorite character, this and that. And I was like, huh? Oh, wait. And then I realized, oh, I need to add all this stuff for him. But like, I thought it was just fine. So you just never know what you're going to do. Or like you have too many characters and you actually combine them into one and like that. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I was like all tripped up on what they were going to look like, and you know, or something, I don't know, I'm thinking of random things, but yeah, so hopefully that helps.
lots of different point of views.
And Jabria, hi, thanks for dropping a like. Sleep well.
Awesome. Any more questions? And then there's a bug. But then I think it'll be fun to get into.
I have to get to bed soon too.
I think if anyone has any questions, you want to drop it in the replay, we will answer them if you are watching the replay.
Thanks for watching. If you're watching,
thanks for watching the replay. Hi, we see you. You are seen and heard.
Yes, we appreciate you.
But yeah, thank you everyone for coming to our Found Family and Female Friendships live stream, and hope you got some good advice.
We're getting more good questions. Look at
this. You know, you have to.
First chapters suck. I know that doesn't help at all with your issue.
That is definitely the biggest thing, is like, just move on. It's your first draft. You know, that you have so many more drafts where you can change it. You can change that in your, when you're doing line edits, be like, you know what, this isn't grabbing me. Or your beta readers are going to tell you. They can help you brainstorm and give you advice, but you have to finish that first draft first.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
don't even worry about it.
I feel like the first page of the first chapter changes so many, like the first paragraph changes so many times.
Yep.
So I feel like, yeah, just write it and move. That's one thing I'll be like, write and move on.
Thank you for joining. So
I wanted to mention a hint at our books, but I know that
oh shoot, I forgot. Yeah, we could do that really quick. If you're okay with that, really quick.
Speed.
This is a duology.
Whoop, whoop.
I am 40K into the sequel, so
Yay.
hopefully 2026.
Yay!
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, the X Project has its next book coming out in hopefully spring, summer. And it's not like a sequel, but it's in the same town, has some of the similar characters that you'll recognize, similar places. You'll also recognize Rachel's town because it's a town over from the town from Merlin Heights, where my characters are. And it's about two former roommates, college roommates, who find each other 10 years later. They're both jobless. One of them has a child. One of them was just laid off, and they decide to put together a unique business that involves books and live streaming. And it's a little spicy as well to make a little bit of money before they continue finding a place in their jobs and whatnot. So that's coming out.
Fun.
And my second book is more of a traditional sequel. They're interconnected standalones, I would say. So they take place in the same town. It is about the sibling of the main male character in book one. It is about his sister. The trope is brother's best friend, if you like that. And she kind of doesn't like her brother's best friend in book one, and you don't know why, but you find out in book two. She is starting her own business, and she is renovating it. And he's a landscaper, and there's a problem in her lawn that she needs help with. So that's how they start spending more time together. And yeah, draft one goes to edits on Friday. So
excited.
Yay.
And in my second book, a pretty big scene at the business that Rachel is talking about, which is a big scene that happens there. They visit, and it's like we said, we have standalones, but there's definitely crossover elements if you read both books.
Yes,
that is
Easter
so
eggs.
fun. I love that.
Yes.
Yay.
Easter eggs.
I love the Easter eggs. And Janine did ask about Savannah. Yes, book 3 in her series is coming out early next year. There's not a specific release date, but yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for asking. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We will please follow us and get all the updates, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
Bye.
Bye.